Very good evening, everyone. It's great to be again on this casual meeting of Chinar Foundation. Well, good evening, Honorable Judge Markandesh sir and everyone in this board.
Please speak a few words in Kashmiri.
I,
Please speak a few words of welcome in Kashmiri to these girls. They are Kashmiris. Anisha Bhatt is a Kashmiri Pandit and Taiba is a Kashmiri Muslim. They are both medical students.
Okay,
So
I'll
say a
try.
few words in Kashmiri.
It's been 20 years. Still, I have some few words. So definitely, I'll try. Chu Sornian इस्तेमाल करान आज चु इजलास सोन चिनार फाउंडेशन बुझ सोनियन इस्तेमाल करान बुझ कोशिश करान कि बुहेचे बे कोशिश क्या जी मेरे को वो वरी को कश्मीर त्राई थे बुकरे कोशिश बु जानू I'll try my level best to learn Kashmiri. ठीक है, but anyways. Thank you, sir. I'll try. I'm a little bit now getting cautious about speaking in Kashmiri. Anyways, regarding,
don't worry.
I wanted to suggest a few things to the Chinar Foundation. That is, one is I want. My suggestion is that we should now start working on ground for as a social work. I want that the seniors to hold the political platform and the juniors to start work with some social agendas like education, health. As Asif Bhai is doing great job, he's already in ground and working for different social activities. Recently, I just saw his post that he vacated land which was occupied, encroached by some people, selfish people, and he got evacuated their land for the hospital. That was a great work, and I appreciate and hats off to Asif for achieving your goal. And I want such products should be on our list. And this is my suggestion. Like I'm already working for education. I've started with talking to some great social people who are already working in Ludhiana for giving education to slum areas free of cost. And their pattern of education is totally different. Definitely, I'll get back with some good presentation very soon. So we should implement such work in Kashmir Valley to give education free of cost to the people who are underprivileged. So this is my one suggestion, and like the seniors should proceed on a political ground, like Katju sir is doing his best, giving statements for every day, in every day today events happening in India. So this is my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Devin sir. Thank you so much. So actually, as I have mentioned you in the group message, this session or this informal session was readily planned yesterday, just to have a conversation or interaction between our members and our executive body and everyone. So let's just not waste time. I'm handing over the space to Justice sir to address this session, and later we'll have an introduction of all of our members to the executive council members. So Justice sir, please. Katju sir.
Thank you, Irfan, and good evening to all of you. Welcome again to Chinar Foundation. Firstly, I want to tell you something, how Chinar Foundation was created. The first attempt which I made to create Chinar Foundation was in the year 2014. Because what I had in mind is that there was a lot of hostility between Kashmiri Pandits and Kashmiri Muslims. And I spoke to both of them. I said, look, both of you have suffered. Kashmiri Pandits have suffered and Kashmiri Muslims have also suffered. But the time has now come to let bygones be bygones and move on, because you have to look ahead. What happened in the past was very sad. I agree, both of you have suffered. But now we must unite, because we are all Kashmiris. We have the same blood and DNA. So we should unite and work together. So first, I formed Chinar Foundation in the year 2014. If you go on my blog called Satyam Bruyat, SATYAMBRUYAT. And you type Satyam on Google, Satyam Bruyat Chinar Foundation. You will find some blogs I had put up in the year 2014, where the first attempt was made to start Chinar Foundation, but it did not succeed for some reasons. Then second attempt I made to form Chinar Foundation when I went to America, to California in September 2019. And I spoke to Kashmiri Pandits and Kashmiri Muslims settled there in America. And I said, look, let's unite. But there also I found there was such hostility between them. Even living in America, they were not prepared to even sit together. So that attempt, second attempt to form Chinar Foundation also failed. The third attempt succeeded after I came back to India in March 2020. And it succeeded really because of this corona. Because what had happened was the large number of Kashmiris, mainly students, were stranded in the several towns of India and even abroad. Like Taiba, who's here, she was stranded in Kyrgyzstan, and Salfia and others. And in many towns of India, Kashmiri students were stranded. There was a lockdown, and because of that, there was restriction. There were no trains, there were no planes, no buses. And these Kashmiris, these particularly students in the towns of India, they were running out of money, running out of food, running out of essentials. So they sent me Facebook messages and emails that please help us, because all Kashmiris look up to me. Although I am technically a Kashmiri Pandit, but I align myself with Kashmiri Muslims also. So they asked me for help. So I contacted firstly Vivek Tankha, who's a senior vice president of Chinar Foundation. He's also a Kashmiri Pandit like me, and he's a member of parliament and a very senior and highly respected lawyer of the Supreme Court. And I said, Vivek, we must help these Kashmiris. After all, we are their flesh and blood. He immediately agreed. Then we contacted Asif Abdullah, who is the General Secretary of Chinar Foundation. I am the president. Vivek Tankha and Minder Vansh and many others, Soni Razdan and many others are vice presidents. And Asif Abdullah is the General Secretary. So Asif had a team and he did a marvelous job. And we helped Kashmiri students in all parts of India. Inder Vansh, who is here, he's in, although originally from Kashmir, but he's now settled in Jalandhar and Punjab. He helped in evacuating all the Kashmiri students from Punjab and Himachal Pradesh. He did a marvelous job. Then we contacted even non-Kashmiris in Bangalore, Chennai. When I appealed to them, they immediately sent me email, sir, please tell us where are these, please give us the contacts of these Kashmiri students. We will immediately send them food and money and all. So all people of all communities in India helped the Kashmiris. And we even helped Kashmiris stranded in foreign countries like Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Bangladesh, UAE and all, who were all stranded there and needed help. Vivek Tankha was a member of parliament, telephoned the Union Minister of Civil Aviation, Mr. Hardeep Puri, and the Union Foreign Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, and he organized the flights of Air India back to, from Kyrgyzstan and other countries back to India. So because of that, everybody felt that it is not that Kashmiri Pandits are hostile to Kashmiri Muslims, they are all one. And that is how we formed the Chinar Foundation. Later on, we thought that Chinar Foundation should have non-Kashmiris also, because what unites Kashmiris is the Kashmiri philosophy called Kashmiriyat. And if you go on Google and type Kashmiri Rishi order, which is also called the Sufi culture, that is the culture of Kashmir, which unites all Kashmiris. So that is the culture which, oh, hello, this is Mr. Sajjad Pirzada from Lahore.
Yeah. Sajjad Bhai is present, sir.
Sajjad is a journalist, a very secular person, very brave person.
Also, Amail sir, Amail Gulzar sir is also there.
Oh, I can't see him. I
He
can't see
speaks.
Amail. I can only speak. I saw Sajjad Pirzada just now.
Yeah.
Amail is also from Pakistan, from Lahore. They're also members of Chinar Foundation. So I told you then we included non-Kashmiris also, like Irfan is a Keralite and Jennifer Stella is from Andaman Islands. They all joined because they all share the culture of Kashmir, that is the inclusive culture of that Sufi culture of brotherhood and tolerance and mutual help. So that is how this organization was formed. And we had a lot of Kashmiris, thousands of Kashmiris, we helped them to get back to Kashmir. And that we thought it is our duty to help all these people. Now the organization is that I am the president of Chinar Foundation. We have several vice presidents, including Inder Vansh and Vivek Tankha and Soni Razdan, who is the wife of Mahesh Bhatt, the famous film producer, and Nagma, who's she's not a Kashmiri, but she's also in Chinar Foundation as a vice president. And there's Wahid Kashir, who's in London. He's a Kashmiri who lived in London for 20 years. So, and then General Secretary is Asif Abdullah. We have many joint secretaries like Irfan, who is here, and Dr. Salfia, and many others who are also joint secretaries now. And Taiba, who's here, she's an assistant secretary. Just like we have made Anisa Bhatt also an assistant secretary. So our organization is growing. Now, recently, Athar Elahi, who is also a joint secretary in Chinar Foundation, he and I wrote an article which was published in the week.in and also in indicanews.com. Indicanews.com, by the way, is published in California. The week.in is from India. And in that article, we said that it is now necessary to do three things by the central government. One is that the democratic space must be restored in Kashmir, which means there should be freely elected legislature. There must be freedom of speech, freedom of the media, and all the political leaders of Kashmir who are under arrest or house detention must be immediately released, and the juveniles should be released, and freedom of press restored. Because unless you give people some freedom, if you keep people's mouth gagged, then the result is you are driving the Kashmiri youth towards the ranks of the militants. This is bound to happen unless you give them freedom. So it is essential now that democratic space must be restored in Kashmir and freedom should be restored. Secondly, we also said in that article that statehood should be restored to Kashmir. See, it has been reduced to a union territory, although J&K has a population of about 1.25 crores, whereas much smaller states like Sikkim has a population of only about 6 lakhs, and it enjoys full statehood. And then Manipur and Arunachal Pradesh and all have about 13 lakh population. So many northeastern states like Tripura, Meghalaya have maybe 15 lakh population, whereas Kashmir has 1.25 crores. So it is an insult and a humiliation for Kashmir to be reduced to a union territory. The full statehood should be restored to Kashmir. And the third demand, we said that immediately 4G internet must be restored, because in Kashmir it has been reduced to 2G internet, which is very slow, and students are suffering a lot, the business people are suffering a lot, economic life is suffering. So 4G internet should be restored. And I understand that now there is some thinking. I believe the J&K Lieutenant Governor Mr. Murmu has written a letter to the central government that 4G internet should be restored, and maybe statehood should also be restored, and democratic freedoms will be restored in Kashmir. So I hope this is done soon. And now I wish all of you to say what you want. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm just handing over the space to talk for Asif Abdullah, our proud General Secretary, who has been working tirelessly for Chinar Foundation from the very beginning. He has been our key worker